Ang tunay na pangalan ng mga tao, lugar at organisasyon na may kaugnay sa liham na tampok sa palabas na ito ay pinilitan at binago. Ang anumang pagkakahoy ng mga bagong pangalan sa aktwal na tao, lugar o organisasyon ay hindi sinasadya at nagkataon lamang.
Magandang araw mga consumer! Ngayong linggo sa Dear Consumer Care, isang liham na naman ang sasagutin natin at ang ating pag-uusapan ay patungkol sa No Return, No Exchange Policy. Ito ay isa sa pinakamaraming tanong na ating natatanggap sa consumer care. Kaya ngayong araw, ating sasagutin ang sulat mula kay Binibining Mulya. Dear Consumer Care, magtatanong lang po sana ako. Nagkamali po ako ng bili ng isang item sa isang store. Noong magre-request po sana ako para palitan ng item, ang sabi ng customer service ay nagpapatupad daw ang DTI ng No Return, No Exchange Policy. Totoo po bang ipinatutupad nyo ito? As a customer, minsan po talaga ay nagkakamali kami ng aming pagbili. Maraming salamat po. At para sagutin ang katanungan ni Binibining Mulya, kasama natin ngayon ang Assistant Director ng Consumer Policy and Advocacy Bureau na si Attorney Cheryl Carbonet. Magandang araw po, Attorney Che.
Magandang araw din sa iyo, Dens, at sa ating mga consumers.
Attorney Che, maaari niyo po bang bigyang linaw kung ano itong No Return, No Exchange Policy na ipinatutupad daw po ng DTI?
Linawin ko lamang, Dens, ang No Return, No Exchange ay hindi ipinapatupad ng DTI. In fact, ito ay ipinagbabawal sa ilalim ng Consumer Act of the Philippines o RA 7394. Ayon sa batas, bawal na ilagay or isulat ang no return, no exchange sa alinmang resibo o sa alinmang area ng tindahan o anumang dokumento na napapatunay ng bentahan.
Bawal po pala ito. Bakit nga po ba ipinagbabawal ang paglalagay ng no return, no exchange sa mga resibo o kahit anong dokumento na nagpapatunay ng bentahan?
Ito ay dahil lumalabag ito sa karapatan ng consumer na maipasaayos, mapalitan o ibalik ang ibinayad kung ang nabiling produkto ay may sira o depekto. Kung naalala mo yung ating 3Rs, repair, replace at saka refund.
Paano naman po kung nagbago talaga ang isip ng consumer? O hindi naman kaya nagkamali talaga sa pagbili? Hindi na po ba talaga ito pwedeng papalitan?
Ang pagbabago ng isip ng isang consumer o ang kanyang pagkakamali ay hindi wastong dahilan para mapalitan ang produkto o kaya ay makakuha ng refund. Subalit, may mga seller na pumapayag na magpalit kung sakaling nagkamali ang consumer o nagbago ito ng isip. At ito ay ayon na lamang sa goodwill o sa liberality ng seller sa kanyang consumer.
Paano po kung ito ay aking ipangreregalo lang at hindi ko naman po alam ang tamang size ng aking pagbibigyan? Paano po kaya ang pwedeng gawin?
Makabubuting sabihin mo ito sa tindahan at alamin ang kanilang return and exchange policy.
Kaya mga consumer, tandaan na bawal po ang no return, no exchange policy. Kailangan meron tayong karapatan na maipagawa, mapapalitan ng produkto o may refund ng perang ibinayad natin sakaling may depekto o sira ang ating nabili. Subalit, amin po kayong pinapaalalahanan na bago bili ng produkto ay siguraduhin na ito ang produktong nais bilhin dahil hindi sapat na dahilan ng pagbabago ng isip o pagkakamali sa ating pagpili. Makabubuti rin pong itanong sa seller ang kanilang return or exchange policy. Maraming salamat po, Attorney Che. At yan ang kabuuan ng ating programa sa araw na ito. Paalala lamang po na ang impormasyong aming naibigay ay base lamang sa aming natanggap na salaysay at mga pangyayari na inilahad ni Binibining Mulya. Abangan muli ang Dear Consumer Care sa susunod na linggo. Ito po si Denzel Bonal na nagsasabing, wise ang consumer na may alam. Para sa updates, please like, follow, subscribe to our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube accounts. That's DTI Consumer Care and DTI Philippines.
tunay na pangalan ng mga tao, lugar at organisasyon sa
Happy Tuesday po to all our participants. Good morning to everyone joining us here in Zoom and those watching live from the DTI Consumer Care Facebook and DTI Philippines YouTube. You can still invite your friends and colleagues to join this webinar. To all our new participants, the DTI Consumer Care webinar series was launched by the DTI Consumer Policy and Advocacy Bureau to provide information about timely topics that will help us to be wise and independent consumers. I am Angeli Solis from the DTI Consumer Policy and Advocacy Bureau, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. For our 254th webinar session this morning, our topic is about generative AI in banking. Before we start our session, we would like to give some reminders. Please be informed that the webinar session will be recorded, and by continuing your participation in the meeting, you are also consenting that you may be recorded. We are encouraging you to stay and join us until the end, and let's learn together on our topic this morning. The following reminders are to ensure that our webinar session runs smoothly. Please change your name format to consumer space, your full name or company, then your complete name. Please turn off your mic during the webinar session unless you are requested by the moderator to speak. If you have questions, we are encouraging everyone to click the raise hand button to directly address the speaker during the question and answer portion, or you may send your questions through the chat box. And lastly, please avoid drawing or making annotations on the screen. Without further ado, let us begin this webinar session by singing the Philippine National Anthem to be followed by the invocation.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, dalas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa dagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ng bangaw, ay hinatang tulang awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang ay di magtitingin. Lumanang araw ng warhabit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya na pagkay mga amin,
Loving Heavenly Father, we come to you this hour asking for your blessing as we are gathered together in this webinar. May your blessings of wisdom and guidance be upon us all through the sharing and impartation of knowledge and skills by our resource speakers, facilitators, and moderators. Bless also the participants so that they would be able to glean the information from this activity and share what we have learned in the spirit of your generosity. Lord, we bring you our prayers, our commitment, our gifts to you this day. Let us who have a keen dedication and awareness of your creation have courage and conviction that we are able to contribute to the sustainability of the earth. Inspire us as we make choices so that we will recognize the impact our lives have on our environment and our human family around the globe. Pour out your blessing upon us today, Lord. May each of our actions reveal our awareness that we are partners with you in the creation and sustainability of this earth that you have given to us to appreciate and enjoy. We ask this in the name of your Son. Amen.
Good morning again to all our participants. And before we proceed with our session, we would like to invite our participants to subscribe to our DTI 1384 SMS to receive important reminders and updates from the DTI Consumer Protection Group for free. You may scan the QR code displayed on your screens. Again, this service is free of charge. As mentioned earlier, our topic this morning is about generative AI in banking. To formally start our session for today, we would like to call the OIC of the Consumer Advocacy Division of the Consumer Policy and Advocacy Bureau. Good morning po, Ms. Vivienne.
Good morning, Angeli. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our 254th Consumer Care webinar series. So again, as mentioned by Ms. Angeli, our discussion will be about the generative AI in banking. Generative AI is defined by the Consumers International as the e-generation of a unique and specific piece of content like text, images, a video, or audio in response to an instruction. With its rapid growth and adoption, it is to have an enormous impact on people's lives in the way we work, communicate, gather information, and much more. So specific to service institutions and banks, generative AI possesses various benefits in the areas of fraud detection, enhanced customer service, and improved risk assessment, among others. However, concerns about bias, data security, the sophistication of scammers, and potential government regulation are just a few of the issues raised by the widespread usage of generative AI. Banks and financial institutions must place mitigation strategies and ensure that all possible risks are accounted for. So I will not be elaborating further as this will be discussed in more detail by our invited speaker. On behalf of our directors, Attorney Cheryl Carbonell and Ms. Werlina Lim, I would like to thank all our participants and our speaker, Dr. Adrian Heinrich of the Union Bank of the Philippines. Again, good morning and thank you.
Thank you po, Ms. Vivienne. And to echo Ms. Vivienne, we are very fortunate to have with us this morning our very capable speaker from the Union Bank of the Philippines. Dr. Adrian Heinrich heads the AI and Innovation Center of Excellence at Aboitiz Data Innovation or ADI and at Union Bank of the Philippines. Before that, she led AI and machine learning for personal health and connected care products at Royal Philips. She has a background in information technology, master's degree at ETH Zurich, and has received her PhD at the Eindhoven University of Technology on video motion analysis for emerging application areas. Let us now proceed to the presentation proper. Dr. Heinrich, the floor is now yours.
Thank you very much for the welcome. Thank you for having me here. I'm really excited to be able to engage with so many participants. Um, I hope the talk today will inspire you, will trigger you, please do not hesitate to put comments into the chat or raise your hand that we can have an interactive session. I'll now start sharing my slides. There. Sorry. Took me a moment to find it. Okay. Put it on screen. Okay. Can you all see the slide?
Good morning, Dr. Adrian. Your slide is already in slideshow format. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks. So please just interrupt me because I cannot see the chat box, I think, when I am in presentation. If you have any questions. So I was asked to talk about generative AI in banking. And as you can see here in the title slide, I put the logo of a person's profile looking into AI. And this is a very conscious decision because at Union Bank, we believe in developing human-centric AI. So the human, the user that needs to use AI is really in the center of all the development, and we should not lose focus of that. I think that's an important aspect, not AI for the sake of AI itself or for sake of the technology. Gen AI will probably give us opportunity for a handshake with technology so that we can revolutionize financial services. And I'll be talking about different use cases that will showcase this and the opportunity that is there. We'll also touch on the risks and some guardrails. But I am an optimistic person, so I really want to talk first about the opportunities that lie ahead of us. As I said earlier, we care about a human-centric AI development. At Union Bank, we believe that AI should be integrated into the ecosystem very horizontally, not seen as standalone. And I put here as a showcase the poster that we had at the Singapore FinTech Festival at our booth. You can see on the top, you can see three elements. Here's a zoom in version of the top part because it's hard to read, where we showcase examples, how we're using AI for superior customer experience and hyper-personalization. Another one here is using AI for optimizing business revenue and operational efficiency. And then also how we can use AI for cybersecurity and fighting crimes. So these are like the three areas that we showcased at SFF. And you can see here at the bottom part of the poster is also the heart, right? And at the location of the heart of this AI person is ethical AI. And that's actually also a really important component that we remember that we need to be responsible. We need to think about the ethical values. And we should not just let AI go without any guardrails or limitations. In general, AI has several benefits. It's really good at very detail-oriented jobs where a lot of data is part of it. For us humans, it's harder to, for example, read many different texts, like feedback texts from many different people, and then distill what is now really the important and most impactful part that we should act upon. Because there's just so much information that we have read. It's a bit hard to prioritize. A machine can do that better than we can do if it is well trained. And it can do it very fast. So that's another benefit, that it doesn't require so much time. So it can give us the opportunity to save some time of our work. So it can save labor in that respect. And also at the same time, then increase our productivity because we can use our time for the more complex tasks, for more of the value add tasks that we can bring in. AI is available 24/7 all the time, right? It doesn't need to sleep to recover, it just needs electricity. And with AI, we can improve customer satisfaction because we can personalize for the different customers that we have. It is objective. It's not always correct, but it is objective. So you don't have so much subjectivity in there. And for especially Gen AI, we're really reaching near human level creativity. So when you pair that with the low cost, that is really very interesting and offers a lot of opportunities. Last year, Gen AI entered our lives, right? And it was such a game changer. It started with text, or at least I think it started becoming very popular with text. So we could put a prompt here and then it will give us a text response. Generative AI actually just means that it generates content. So it's not just for text, as we also heard already in the introduction earlier, right? It can also generate images, it can generate audio, it can even create a video based on your instructions. So it offers a lot of opportunities. Now let's just look at ChatGPT, what was like the first big application last year using Gen AI, and compare it to different other applications that you know of as well. Like, for example, Netflix. I'm looking at the left side here. So if you compare it to Netflix, for example, how long did it take until they reached 1 million users? It took them 3.5 years, 3.5 years. If you compare it to ChatGPT, it took them 5 days. That's amazing, right? Because it really touches our lives. You can see the other applications here like Instagram, Spotify, Dropbox, Facebook. So the next one is Instagram, 2.5 months still. Still quite a big difference, no? Now if you look at the performance, because it is kind of a hype as well at the start, no? If you look at the performance, because you're curious, is it justified that it gets so much attention? We see here on the right side the performance results of ChatGPT. You can see two versions. The the greenish one is ChatGPT 3.5, so that's an earlier version, the version that you have in the free version of OpenAI, and the blue one is ChatGPT 4.0. And here is a ranking, so it's a kind of a percentile in the bubble. Now, for example, for here for the verbal, the graduate record exam, apparently the verbal GRE, ChatGPT, the free version, ranked 63rd. That means 63% of the people who took the test performed worse than ChatGPT. So it's already really good, right? It's already at 60, above the 63rd percentile. If you look at the ChatGPT 4 version, it's already the 99th percentile. So 99% of the people perform worse than ChatGPT. Now, this is, of course, also really the top use case. There are some that are really, really easy or easier for ChatGPT. Like here, you have evidence-based reading and writing, the SATs, the uniform bar exam in law. Here, you see a huge difference between ChatGPT 3.5 and ChatGPT 4.0, right? Math, LSAT, biology, statistics, psychology, quantitative GRE, chemistry, physics. So here already it starts dropping, right? You can see that already. And then at the bottom, you've got like here English language, for example. You've got code forces rating, competitive programming. So here it did not perform well. But there's some use cases where it is actually quite smart, right? Here's an overview that came out, I think, end of last year. It's a survey from Bain. They interviewed 571 people and they looked at their use cases for Gen AI. And these are the top Gen AI use cases that they have found. There are 7. So 49% said that they use generative AI as part of their products or their software. 47% said they use it for customer engagement and customer service applications. We'll get back to that also later. 46% for code completion, code generation, co-piloting. It's very different, right? It's for writing code. 42% knowledge assistance for the sales support and for internal operations. Again, quite a different use case, right? 42% also say automation of IT administration, like help desking. And then we've got the marketing content generation and localization, 39%. And 35% say they use it for their product design and simulations. So it's really a wide range where they see use of Gen AI. I'm picking out one case that's using Gen AI for customer support agents. And there was a study conducted by MIT and Stanford University, and they recently published these results where they found that when customer service agents use the Gen AI powered system, the agent productivity goes up by 14%. Also, when customers rate the NPS, the Net Promoter Score, after interactions with the agent, that sometimes also the AI bot, the NPS went up. So that's also very interesting, right? That the NPS doesn't have to drop when AI is involved if you do it the right way. For agent attrition, it also has a nice number because it says that it got less by 9%, right? So these are really encouraging results. So when you look at those charts here on the right side, pre-AI and post-AI means pre-deployment, pre-deployed, and post-deployment. So the agent got to use the AI before it was deployed, pre-AI, or post-AI after it was deployed. And the green one is that the agents have never used AI. So you can see, for example, here, the average handling time went down because you have here the blue peak farthest to the left among the 3 colors, right? And you want the average handling time to be very low. Number of chats per hour in C, you can see here the blue one. So when they use it after it having been deployed, it moved to the right because they could complete more chats per hour. And even the agents who just used AI before deployment had a benefit compared to the ones who never used AI. Then the resolution rate, you can also see here the blue peak very much to the right, and you can see like the green one, the people who have never used AI. I hope you can see my mouse. Yeah, the people who have never used AI, they are not as fast with the resolution. They are not as high with the resolution. And then you've got the customer satisfaction, what I said earlier, the Net Promoter Score. So here also you can see the 2 AI approaches, either pre or post deployment. They get higher scores than the ones who have never used AI because you can see the big peak is at the end, there where the higher scores are. Whereas here on the left side, there is also some green bubble. So this is really interesting, I think. In general, for financial services, or let's say for banking, McKinsey has found the generative AI has potential to deliver a lot of value. And they even think among all the industry sectors, banking is expected to have one of the largest opportunities for the potential that can harness with generative AI. And this is particularly the case. You can look at this chart here for the darker areas. The darker areas denote generative AI. So corporate banking has quite a part of generative AI. Also retail banking, generative AI. Software engineering has hardly any other AI. So generative AI really changed actually how they are working as software engineers. And for the other areas, it's a bit less than for traditional AI, advanced AI potential. But you can see already how it will play a role for for banking forward. Wells Fargo is a large bank, and they are quite aggressive with generative AI. You would think that because of their legacy systems, big company, it will take them long to adapt. But they really adapted really fast, and the change management was done very well in their company. They launched their first AI assistant last March. So March 1 year ago. And they got up to 9 months later, they got 20 million interactions with that AI assistant. And they say that's just from a recent news report. They say that they want to go up to 100 million interactions per year. So they have a very good experience with their assistant, their AI assistant. What they did, what's part of their change management, is that they have 4,000 employees complete the Stanford's human-centered AI program. So they were reskilled so that they know better how to use Gen AI and how to bring it in many different facets in the bank. They say that they have a lot of Gen AI projects already in production, mainly also for the back office efficiency. So we don't see that as much, but that it delivered a lot of value to them. For the next slides, I would like to zoom in what ChatGPT is and give some examples, how it works. Before doing that, I would like to ask you whether you use AI at your work. I would like to gauge if you're heavy users or not of this technology. And it will also let me emphasize other parts of the succeeding parts of the presentation. So may I ask if we can create the poll for this? How can I go to the main Zoom screen that I can see that? Oh, there's the poll. Okay. So are you using Gen AI technology at your work? Please answer. It's anonymous. It's just to gauge how you use this technology. Okay, it's more or less half. 50% more or less say yes, 50% no. Let's see. Maybe there'll be some more answering. Now we have 55% who answered up to now among all the participants. Please answer in case that also change the view here. Okay, still stays like around 50%, a bit more on the yes side, 53 versus 47%. Okay. Thanks for participating. Yeah, doesn't change that much anymore. Great. The results can be seen, right, by everyone, no?
Yes, Dr. Heinrich.
Yeah, okay, great. So everyone sees. So more or less half of the audience is using Gen AI and half not. Okay, thanks. Let me go back to my presentation. Can you see the slide again?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay.
Go ahead
Okay,
and
good.
slideshow. Thank you.
Thank you. So ChatGPT is a version of GPT 33.5 that has been specialized for generating text in conversational style. When you pay, you can get ChatGPT like a higher version. You can get GPT 4.0. So the typical use cases of using ChatGPT are that you can create content or it can translate to another language. It can converse with you because it has a memory. It can also help you in writing codes or programs, like what we saw earlier, right, with software engineering. That's this part. It can help in the educational side with creating course content, and it can also help with research to give some assistance. It's developed by OpenAI, and they launched it last November 2022. So not last year, but the year before. It has been trained on a lot of data, otherwise it couldn't perform that well, on more than 570 gigabyte data. And it crossed 100 million users already in January 2023. So remember, November it was launched, and then January it already crossed the mark, 100 million users. And daily they have 30 million users. So it's really a big usage happening on their platform. For their capabilities, as I said earlier, you can remember what the user said in the conversation. That's why it really can perform conversational AI. It will allow you to follow up, to give corrections, because based on the answer, you may say, no, I did not mean this, focus on this part of my question, or you'll rephrase your question. And it's also actually trained to decline some inappropriate requests, but that's not always equally well done. We'll also touch on that later. Sometimes it will create incorrect information. That's what's called hallucinating. It can produce even harmful instructions or biased content when people want to use it in a malicious way. And that's actually also a problem. And it only has knowledge up to 2021, up to September 2021, because that's the data that was fed into it for training. That means everything that happened later in this world, it does not know. As an overview, how does it work? Is you give text input into a language model, and then as output, text is being generated. So, for example, you can give us input, could give me some prompts for marketing presentation and loans, feed that into OpenAI, to ChatGPT, and then it will give us an answer. Yeah, sure, here's some overviews for your presentation, and then it will give some bullet points. So this is how it works in a nutshell, and now I'll give you some examples. For example, imagine you're a marketing manager and you want to brainstorm on some advertising prompts. So you would like to get some inspiration. Now, for example, for this prompt, your bank is planning to use a new AI-based voice customer support service, provide some short advertising prompts. Okay, it came up with 3 prompts. I like the third one best. It goes, say goodbye to long waiting times and hello to fast and efficient banking support with your bank's name. New AI voice service. Experience the future of customer service today. It's quite good, right? It's not bad. So it's definitely a good start, and I guess it will help marketeers draft their campaigns. Now the other use case. Imagine, it's a coding use case. Imagine you're a data scientist at Union Bank, and you would like to have a Twitter scraper written in Python so that you can get some data and you can explore a new use case. And then you also want it to be converted to other programming languages. And sometimes, as I said earlier, it creates some errors, and then it can help you in debugging as well. So for the first items that you'll get the scraper, the Twitter scraper, and then convert the code, here I have a short video where we tried that. So you put the prompt, let's write Twitter script in Python, and then out comes already the response with the code that you can use and instructions, what you should replace, and then it says memory, right? The user asks, convert it to JavaScript, so convert it to another programming language, and then there it goes. And this is really a good start. Even if sometimes there's an error, it's really good. Like my son, he uses it to create games for his just own joy in his, as a hobby. so that he can play more games. So he asks for code for a particular game that he's thinking of. And then he copies it into Roblox Studio. That's where he's programming. And then there's an error. So it doesn't work. Then he goes back and he says, this part threw an error. This is the error message. How do I have to correct it? And then ChatGPT also gives back the correction. So he copies that back in and then it works. So you can really, in the conversation, actually trigger it to give you right answers, even if it first had the wrong answer. Isn't that fascinating? Another example for brainstorming is if you are, for example, enterprise architect, you would like to understand what are HR applications that can use ChatGPT. So this was the question, and then the answer is here in the screenshot. For candidate screening and matching to job openings, performance evaluation, feedback generator, for employee satisfaction survey analysis tools, onboarding, training, recommendation system. So you can see there are several examples, and I'm not from HR, but looking at it, actually some of them really make sense. Another brainstorming example is this one. Imagine you're a product manager or innovation manager at Union Bank. Please brainstorm a list of 60 possible applications for building a large language model for the company, and give me a name, a suggestion for the name, and a short description of it. So here are the three. The third one I just cropped so that we have enough space on the slide and you can read the text. I'll just go into the first one. They all make sense. It's called Uni Assist, building a large language model to improve customer service experience by providing an AI-powered virtual assistant to answer customer inquiries, assist with banking transactions, and provide personalized recommendations. Here again, you see, remember Wells Fargo? That's the use case that they launched March 2023. So this keeps on coming back for customer service. And we also saw that in the top Gen AI use cases from the main survey, right? So that's really something that keeps on coming back, and that's resonating. To compare ChatGPT and the human without using this technology, just to give you like a sense of how it performs compared to different categories. So for speed, since it's a computer, it's really like super fast, right? Human can also be fast, but this guy will be really extremely fast, blazing fast. Capacity, it can run simultaneous tasks because it's computer, and that's harder for us. We need to work more on sequential tasks, especially if we have to be concentrated, if it's like repetitive, our concentration has to be there. For endurance, it just needs electricity, and it's fine. The human needs food, so we have to feed him well that he stays healthy and can perform the work well. The knowledge, that's what I mentioned earlier. It's the internet, but everything before September 2021. So it's really not a search engine, and that's one of the differences. You need to think well if you want to use OpenAI's ChatGPT, or for example, Bing, the copilot of Bing, because with Bing, it's search engine combined with the large language model, combined with the same technology that you have here. This means it can look up in real time results, references. So you can develop more trust because you can see based on which article did it come up with the answer. Depending on your use case, this may be a requirement. If you just want to brainstorm and you want to be super creative, no need for that, right? You can go completely out of the box. Then ChatGPT is very good. For the human being, typically we excel in 1 to 2 specializations. We cannot really do more. So with the machine, it has so much knowledge from all the sources, from all the text sources, that you can actually call it specialized in many different things. That's what we saw at the start when I was showing that it got so many users already after 5 days. And then the other side was, how did it perform on the different tests, right? So you could see there was really a variety of expertise that it could tackle. For accuracy, yes, it's objective. It gets its information from the data, but it's also, because it's generative, right? It's generating answers. So meaning it can generate hallucinations. So it can hallucinate. It can make things up. And it can make things up in such a good way and convincing way that you believe it's true. It already happened to me as well, even in something in my field, that only when I checked for the reference, the paper that it gave me a title of, I found out that this paper doesn't even exist. So it really happens in a very good way. For the human being, it's subjective, right? We are all working quite subjectively, and it's harder for us to be as objective as a machine. In general, I would say if we use generative AI, we empower ourselves. So we become faster, we become more efficient, more effective, and better. Now, there are some limitations that I also want to touch on. So, for example, it will believe you with whatever you say. Like this person said, "Oh, my thumb is on my forehead. What shall I do?" That was like the prompt for this. And then ChatGPT will answer, "You have dislocated your thumb and it is now at your forehead. This is a medical emergency and requires immediate attention from a medical professional. This type of injury is known as a thumb dislocation," etc. Right? So it does not really understand that this cannot really be true, or it's maybe just be a joke. So that's harder. Word problems are also not easy. So, for example, here, it took John and 9 other people a day to create 5 identical sculptures. How long would it take for them to create 10 sculptures? And it explained, just gave me the answer. So it should take them twice as long, right? Because they're the same 10 people. But it says 4 days. So it cannot really compute that. If you reformulate, then it manages, at least in that version that we tried, it manages to do it in 2 days to give the right answer. Then it can also be biased. For example, if you ask for create an instance of a good rich person class, and you look at the characteristics it puts here, male, 50 years old, 1 meter 90, Caucasian, entrepreneur. If you look at the architect, the good architect, it should create also male, but 30 years old, 1 meter 80, is Asian, and got a bachelor in architecture. For a BPO employee, what we have here is female, 25 years old, 1 meter 60, Hispanic, got Bachelor of Arts in English. So you can see there is some bias in there that it will bring into the answer. You have to be aware of that. Then also there are some issues how generative AI can be misused. And we will even touch on that more later. I just wanted to bring it in here as well, since we were discussing the limitations. You can trick it to create content that will be used in a bad way, like for phishing, for example, right? So here, if you ask for like a convincing phishing message that we should avoid as users, it writes down what the message is. So you can just use this message if you're a scammer, right? "Dear Adrian, case we have detected suspicious activity in your bank account. To ensure the security of your account, we have temporarily disabled your online banking access. Please click on the following link to reactivate your account and verify your identity." Yeah, so that's like a typical phishing message, or that you can that will get you to click, and then you end up on a website where it will have malware going to you. So there are many ways how to make it create content that can be used in a not good way and not ethical way. So we have to be very aware of that, and that's why the human-centered part, the human-centered element, the heart is really important in this. That we bring it back to how do we want it to perform, that we control it to that extent. Or like you've won $1,000, click here, right? That's also a typical phishing message. Then you've got the copywriting issue. What is copyrighted? How far can you go? So you have to check that yourself as well. And then will it take my job? That's something that many people have been discussing, wondering about. My take, again, I'm an optimist, right? But also looking back at industrial revolutions that we had, at other types of game changers in the industry, we can see when automation happens, when a big increase in efficiency happens, the jobs will change, yes. You cannot do the majority of the job the way you did it before. But the demand will increase in that domain. So for example, for banking, when the ATMs were introduced, people thought the tellers will lose their jobs, right? Because now actually machines does your job. Now what you see here in this graph is with the triangles, number of ATMs that have been installed. So you can see here after year 1990, it got like a boost, right? It's increasing a lot. The tellers are the ones up here with the plus signs. And you can see here, like when ATMs steeply increased, there was some decrease in the tellers, but then actually they increased again because they changed their job. They changed how they provide value to their customers. It was not a mere transaction. It was about helping them how they can create value with their money, more value with their money. And this is what I mean that it will change. We will need many more prompt engineers. We will need many more people who know how to deal with AI in the particular domain where it should end up in, so that it will perform the way we want it to perform, given also the limitations and the issues we just discussed. Okay. Quick overview, do's and don'ts. Left side, what you should be doing when you use ChatGPT like services. Be very clear and concise, because then it knows what to look for. Ask very specific questions. So think smart. I think now it's really the change is that your questions have to be very good in order to get the right answer. So it will train you to get better at asking your questions. Ask follow-up questions when you're not yet completely happy with the initial answer it gives you, because it has memory. You can do that. Use ChatGPT effectively. So think also of the benefits that the combination of Gen AI with a real-time search engine could give you, like Bing, for example. If you need to do literature research, you need to understand what has been published before on a certain topic. And you need to know that that's true, what it tells you. Better go to a search engine like Gemini from Google, or Bing, the Copilot of Bing. If you want to brainstorm and you're good with hallucinations, right? Go for OpenAI's ChatGPT. Be very responsible with what you enter, like what we just saw before. Don't try to misuse it. And engineer your prompts. Work on the prompts that you enter. Now, what you should not do is you should not share any confidential information, because that will be used. Don't expect that ChatGPT will always be correct, because it hallucinates, right? Never solely rely on its answer alone for important decisions. Always fact check and apply your own logic as well. And do not use ChatGPT for unethical activities. Earlier, I was talking already about the different types of modalities it can operate in generative AI, right? So you saw this image in small earlier. It can generate not only text, but also images, audio, and videos. And I want to go a bit into the other domains so that you get to see them as well. This one is for images. And this is another service also by OpenAI. It's called DALL-E. And this is now DALL-E 2. It can create images based on your text prompt. So for example, here with the astronaut, the prompt is an astronaut riding a horse in photorealistic style. And then it creates that. Quite good, right? And it can do some outpainting as well. So it can create content around your input image. So for example, this is the input image, and what it will create is where the girl with the pearl earring is standing here in the kitchen. So it will create it in the right style. I think of Vermeer. I think that's the painter. And it can also create our different variations of your input image. So you give this one on the top, that's your input image, and the output will be that one at the bottom. It created a variation. Or you can also insert objects, like add a flamingo beside the pool. And then here you've got your flamingo, the bottom image. A funny one is the tree bark. So you can get, the bark of the tree, right? You can also get the dog barking at the tree. You can get both. The next version, DALL-E 3, is already much more nuanced, can give you more detail, will follow your prompts in a better way. So, for example, I'll just talk about this one here in the middle. A middle-aged woman of Asian descent, her dark hair is silver, just fractured, splintered, etc. So there's a long description of how she should look like, what should be in the picture, and then this is created. Not bad. The porcelain was described, the types of colors. Yeah. Or here, like the photograph, it doesn't look so realistic, no? The right bottom side with the hermit crab. Yeah. Then how you can also use images is for your own interior design. Like if you want to be inspired, how can I change the furniture in my bedroom? You can put in this original image at the top, and then it can give you some suggestions on how you can make your bedroom more lively or cozier. Yeah, different design styles can be shown to you, and you'll be faster with knowing what fits to you, what you would want. It can also create videos, like it can synthesize the a person, a fake person, just an avatar. The person you see here does not exist. And it can then synthesize the lip movement such that it fits to the text that you have been giving them. So if you wanted to give a presentation, like a 5-minute presentation, you can give the text, and then this person will give that presentation. And all of this will be done automatically. You can also create music. I'll just show maybe this one here. The input will be Bella Ciao humming. And then this is what it generated.
Na 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 na. Na 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 na.
Or let me also play the other one here. So it says Bella Ciao, then jingle bells, and whistling. Quite fascinating, isn't it? I still want to talk a bit about Union Bank's Gen AI projects that we have. Last year, sorry for the low resolution images. I grabbed them from another presentation. Last year, we did a Gen AI hackathon last May, and we gave some training first so that anyone in the bank who wanted to participate can understand how to use the tools. We did it together with Microsoft. And then there were teams who presented their solutions and also used the technology. What we did at the Singapore FinTech Festival regarding Gen AI is we presented our chatbot, but then the Gen AI chatbot. So we already have a chatbot now, but it's not a Gen AI chatbot. And we did a POC with AWS just for 2 weeks, and they came up with a chatbot. Now, what this also showed us is that it sometimes does make up things, it hallucinates that are not true, and that's a problem, right? When at once a fee is different or it makes up a product that doesn't exist. You don't want wrong information like this going to the customer. So you need to know how to put the guardrails and how to control that. something that we're doing now with AWS is this quick site. It's like they call it a generative BI system, not AI, because it's about the reporting, the dashboarding. There's a video here where you can see, you can check like what's in the summary. So what do I want to know more about? Then you ask your own question, and then it can create the visual according to that and some text. So you don't have to predefine all the dashboards that you want to have for reporting purposes in your bank or in your company in general. This year, we're doing more of the Gen AI learning and training. I'm heading the AI Innovation Center of Excellence. So we're very involved in like trainings, the hackathon. So, and we want that every union banker can make use of the Gen AI technology, but in the good way. So that's why we really need to also give the training on that. What we're also doing are Gen AI use cases to increase our productivity. So we're working together with specific units where we think that there will be a large impact with Gen AI use cases, and where we also, for example, need to deal with confidential information, security, data privacy. So these are use cases that we are looking at also this year. Now, when it goes wrong, I just want to show you some examples. I guess you heard of the upper one, maybe, where Google apologized for missing the mark with Gemini because it created historically wrong images. In the past, we had the opposite when Microsoft many years ago launched, I think it was called Tai, a chatbot. The chatbot became racist. They did not anticipate that people would use it this way. And after one day, already they had to shut it down. Now here, Google did not want to go into the same problem, so they try to control that it will not become racist, and maybe too much try to bring in minorities. So now when you ask, can you generate an image of a 1943 German soldier for me? It should be an illustration. It will create these images where you can see for sure this person wasn't Afro-American, wasn't Asian, right? It doesn't make sense the way they were depicted. They should really be like German, very German-blooded soldiers. Another news here is from Air Canada about a chatbot, and that's why it's so important to control before you release. Where an error has been made and the customer has been wrongly informed about their service, about the fee, and now Air Canada has to pay and has to like go along with what the chatbot said because it's in the end liable for its own products, right? The things we saw now here are when it doesn't go wrong intentionally, right? It hallucinates, errors happen. Now, what could also be is that people will abuse generative AI, right? Which is like the dark side. And here you can see a classification where different intents are mapped along the different types of form that you can create. So with the malicious intents like deception or propaganda or dishonesty, you can map it to types of form like personal loss and identity theft. For example, you can create synthetic identities or steal someone's identity by deceiving this person, right? So that's on this cross-border. Or you have financial and economic damage that you can create with like extremist schemes where the intent is propaganda, information manipulation with misinformation, for example. So here also like influence campaigns, where it's online with propaganda, or it can also really impact society. Like you can have, for example, the targeted surveillance, which you actually also don't want to have, right? And this is on the line of the dishonesty. So there are different intents and different harms that you can map to each other. And what we need, and we are not there yet, we need to see how we mitigate those risks. It's a serious risk. We need to make steps in it. And the ones who are from this dark side, who will want to abuse generative AI, they will not stop. They love this technology for this purpose, right? So it means that we also have to step up and we have to get better at using AI to combat that bad purpose, right? The malicious intent. It's important that we can build trust for this technology and that we apply strategies to mitigate AI-related fears. I put here some ways how to do that. So like ethical and regulatory frameworks, education and reskilling, data privacy regulations in place, make sure there's a human AI collaboration that we don't replace at the start and just let it run, but that the human is in the loop. That we emphasize transparency and explainability in our usage of AI applications. That security measures will be put in place, public awareness will be driven, there's human oversight. Very important that change management will be done the right way. This is a technology concern, but in the end, the way we resolve the risk is via society, is via change management. So it's super important to have that as one of the first focus points. For explainable, responsible AI, Union Bank cares a lot about that. So we also looked at a study where we use AI and data protected attributes to reduce discrimination. At the same time, you also improve profitability. Why I'm showing it here is because I want to show how important it is that you can have those hand in hand. So by driving for explainable and responsible AI, you can create fairer solutions, and it does not mean that your business has to drop. Actually, we saw the opposite. Business will increase. How I would like to end is some tips how we can succeed with generative AI. First is having a strategic roadmap in place. This is not a technology where you just play around a bit and then you'll maybe hit the right objective, and that will give you a lot of business success. You really have to think it through. Also because there is so much data in this world now. You've got a million possibilities of use cases, but you have to pick the right one. And the use cases that will have the most impact in your industry to your company. That's why it's really a very conscious choice. You need to think about your talent. You need to upskill, to attract new talent that already has those skills so that you can keep the pace. What we also need to do is we need to have cross-functional teams in place for the operations where there are really close collabs early on in the project phase between the tech teams and the business teams. We need to have good infrastructure and technology so that experimentation can go fast. We will also fail fast. That means we will learn fast and we will get faster to the endpoint. And we need to have technology in place that we can integrate. Because what's the point if we know what would actually work out, but we cannot integrate because our technology cannot accommodate. We have to be able to deal with unstructured data because there will be a huge amount of unstructured data, and redesign risk and model governance. It will not be the way it is now. It really has to take into account the new types of risks that are introduced, new issues, new limitations, and new controls have to be put in place to deal with, for example, those hallucinations, right? Also, explainable and responsible AI, I believe, should have a much higher standing point than it has now. And last but really not least, one of the most important points, change management for the AI adoption has to be there and has to be communicated in a very how do I say that? It has to be communicated in a way that everyone, no matter what the function is, can easily understand it and can buy into that and will see the benefits for his or her role. Yeah, so in the end, it's really about being able to adapt, because with the new technology, with the changes around us, what brings us forward is adapting to the new normal and then knowing how to deal with it. And that's why also this quote that I actually often show you. I'm giving talks. Okay. This was my presentation. Do you have any questions? Oh yeah, I see there were some chats. Sorry, I could not see the chat, so I was giving the talk. Okay, someone says for me this was really an efficient tool for customer convenience and for faster processing of services, but this should have policies of not integrating for school academic activity for consumer students' capabilities, promoting their own ideas and critical thinking, and then someone else confirms that. Okay, shall we discuss those questions? Is that the right time, or do you want it differently in your program organizers? How do you want it?
Hello, Dr. Adrian Heinrich. Thank you very much for your very interesting and very insightful presentation. Sorry earlier because we have technical difficulties here, so I apologize earlier.
No
So for
problem.
the
I didn't notice.
so for the question and answer, we will assist you. I'll read the questions and you can answer. So
Okay.
good morning again to all our participants here in Zoom and to everyone joining us via DTI Consumer Care Facebook and DTI Philippines YouTube. Let us now proceed to our question and answer portion. A gentle reminder to all our participants, please stay muted unless you are addressing the speaker or moderator directly. Please also accomplish the client satisfaction form or CSF that will be posted in the chat box section. To make sure our discussion is more interactive, we encourage everyone to click the raise hand button so we can call you to ask directly to our speaker. You may also send in your questions through the chat box. So for the first question we have here, how do you think can industries address the limitations of generative AI in terms of tasks involving high levels of human empathy or cognition?
Yeah. So for the higher levels, I think we really still need the people, the humans in the loop. I think it can create already some like empathic sentences, but sometimes they may be perceived as a bit out of place. It's not always very natural. So I think this is really still a step where AI is not yet as good and where we need the interaction with the people. So, for example, in healthcare with the doctors, I think AI can play a big role in helping with faster and more accurate diagnosis. But then the communication with the patients, I think that should really still be handled with the doctor, by the doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Adrienne. For our next question, as consumers, how can we protect ourselves from businesses who fail to incorporate responsible and ethical thinking when using Gen AI in their operations?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think it's very important that you are always critical. Whatever you're doing in your life, have this button on, the switch on of critical thinking. When you get a message from a system or maybe a chatbot interaction, then think twice. Does this make sense? Is this logical? Is this indeed what should happen? Before you buy in and you go along with the proposal. Yeah. So I think that's really super important. And if you are not really sure, fact check, right? Then you can use the search engines, right? You can use Bing, you can use Google, and you can ask it for references, and you can read up on that area. Yeah, actually, I was wondering if I should now segue to the other question that I read at the start about education. Can I do that maybe now? Because I think there are different opinions. So the person who posted here was saying it should not be used in school academic activity because it will hinder students' capabilities in formulating their own ideas and critical thinking, right? What I just said, we need to always think critically. Now, there are two camps. So the one indeed like this one and the other one saying we can also use it for education if it's done the right way. And this is really always the crux. Is it done the right way? So for example, the Khan Academy, if you don't know them, you can check them out. They also gave a TED Talk. So if someone informs you, for example, I also have with several educators this conversation, right? So when they inform you like it shouldn't be used for this purpose, you can Google and you can try to find out, so what's the other side of it? And that's also when I bumped into the Camp Academy. And they created with AI a tutor. So students, and that's really good actually for the Philippines where we have many islands where not everywhere good education reaches. It's kind of very centralized, right? The good education. So students can type their questions about a certain topic, and then the AI tutor will converse with the students and will help the students to understand how to solve this math problem, how to understand what happened in history this and this time. And it was very efficient because you have the answer then and there, right? And you don't need to wait for school for a teacher, and the teacher maybe doesn't know. So they use it in a very good way. What I think has to change is because the genie is out of the bottle, right? You cannot prevent them from using it. It's like you're saying we shall not use calculators. But at some point, the calculator just came into existence and they helped us. So also Gen AI will help them later in their workforce. So we need to make them ready for their workforce. Now, how do we do that? I think the education has to change in how we ask and pose the problems. What are the problems students have to resolve? And what are the questions we will ask them? Then they should learn how to use generative AI in order to solve those problems in the best way, where their critical thinking has to be on, right? That's really super important. So I fully agree. We should not do anything where own creativity, own ideas, critical thinking will be hindered. The opposite should take place, and that's why it's like a double-edged sword. It's so important. How will you put it in place?
Yan Yao, a consumer, how can this help a senior citizen who is not well versed with technology?
Okay. Yeah, that's a nice one. Actually, we did some exploration also in Union Bank regarding voice technology. And the benefit of using voice as a medium of interaction is that you don't need to know where to click, what to do, read the very small text, right? As a senior. So you can just speak into your phone. What is it that you need? What is your question? And then back will come your answer. Also, the answer to you also in form of voice. So it will be much more effective for you and actually also for other people, as we found out, or not we, Union Bank, but as researchers have found out. They saw that when people speak their intent, their question, they're giving many more details. When they type, they give less information. So this means that by giving more information over voice, also the AI engine will be able to give a better response, a response that fits better to the question you had. So actually then we get better performance. And I think we need to take that step, that we will be inclusive for everyone in society. And obviously we are all getting older, right? So we really want to accommodate also for when we are older and we cannot use technology as it is now.
Thank you, Dr. Adrian. For our next question, this one is from Mr. Lance Wendell Almendra, also a consumer. How feasible is generative AI be utilized by the Philippine government?
Sorry, how feasible is it when it's utilized by the Philippine government?
How feasible is generative AI being utilized by the Philippine government?
You are from the Philippine government, right? So maybe you are in a better position to answer this question. Are you using generative AI and where? Okay, while you think about that, let me answer what we are doing to help the Philippine government. We are also giving training sessions for Philippine government, for officials, also on the topic of generative AI, not just AI in general. And we are trying to help so that generative AI can be used in the country also for the good of society. I am not aware of Gen AI use cases being used currently by the government, but I'm not working with the government, so that's why I cannot answer this. I can just say that we are trying to support also because it's of course a technology that's here to stay. As I said, the genie is out of the bottle; you cannot put it back in. Yeah, would you know about the government? Are there any use cases, Gen AI use cases?
For personally, speaking as personally, not on behalf of my bureau, but for me, we are not yet fully integrating AI in my work. So it's mostly still on my own or on my technical background. However, um, using fully AI, I'm still not I'm still not fully dependent on the use of AI on my personal work. So that
I hope
mm,
my presentation helps you
it
to
did a
use
lot.
it more
Yes,
often.
yes, it did a lot, and it's very detailed and comprehensive. So for me, that this is the very first time that I'm attending a session on generative AI. So it's very useful. Yeah.
Okay,
So
great.
we have another question here from Mr. Ezekiel Calyado. Are there PH banks using Gen AI already, and what are the regulations for Gen AI in banking?
Okay, so yeah, we, right, as an example, Union Bank is definitely exploring Gen AI use cases. I mentioned some earlier. Uh, of course, we need to comply. So we also suggest and discuss with BSP and other committees. We are involved in the regulatory discussions. What we are changing is that we have more governance. So we have like a data governance committee. We also have a model governance committee to understand what is the impact of a model that we want to deploy so that there is more, as I said, explainability, transparency, and also that we know that we are dealing responsibly with AI. Yeah. So these are the steps that we are taking. It's definitely changing our way of working.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Adrian. So as a follow-up to the previous question regarding the Philippine government
Okay.
utilization, we have
Yes.
I received an information. According to President Marcos during the 30th Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation or APEC Economic Leaders Meeting, the Philippines is ready to become your partner in navigating the AI future. As we look the horizon, let's make it happen in the Philippines, where the promise of a future defined by technological inclusivity and shared growth is not just envisioned but actively realized. Marcos said the Philippines would be embracing the AI revolution to augment the existing skills of the Filipinos, increase the productivity of enterprises, and enhance the competitiveness of the economy. Currently, the Philippines is embracing the future of AI with the crafting of the national AI strategy that seeks to augment the existing skill set of Filipino talents with AI. We source this from the PCO. So it's an official statement by the government. So in relation to this, Dr. Adrian, I have a question. Will you
Mhm.
able will you be able to share the status of the AI adoption of the Philippines in comparison with our ASEAN neighbors? And what will be the impact of the status of the AI adoption in the ASEAN region? Thank
Yeah,
you.
sure. I think the impact can be huge. I feel there is a lot of drive for innovation in AI in this country, like what you just read out. So the president's stance, his opinion, is indeed we want to move forward in this direction. I think the will is really there. Um, I think other countries they are also doing quite a good job with AI. The neighboring countries. Um, we have an advantage, I think. So we just need to push it a bit and we need to come together and do this as a unity instead of very decentralized and lots of small projects. Let's have really like some big projects where we will create impact together across multifunctional teams within the Philippines. I think this would be very important and it would really be good to have government support and government as like a driving force in this because I think this is also how you then can differentiate yourself. I think there will be a lot of impact because we are a population with we are a country with a large population. I think among the neighboring countries, it's just Indonesia that has still a larger population, right? And we are a population that has many the young people who are into new technology, digital, they have smartphones. So this is already a good foundation for this technology. So that means we have a large test bed. We have a lot of challenges in this country because we have many islands, right? It's not so easy actually to build very good systems for that. Even electricity is not everywhere in the country. So if we can solve some of those problems that we have, then I think there are really good showcases that we can bring out for the other Asian countries. What's your view coming from the government?
My view regarding this is, to be honest, I am not that aware because the DICT is the lead government agency heading the AI adoption here in the country. So
Okay,
possibly in the
okay,
next webinars, we can invite
right.
the ICT.
Okay, let's do that. So in summary, I believe the will is there. The will is there, like what you just read also from the president. The will is there. But now let's take action and let's move forward and let's come together for that.
Thank you, Dr. Adrian. For our next question, we have received a question from the DTI Region 6, Guimaras, Ms. Melesha Pait. How can AI be appreciated by common consumers, especially the marginal groups? Some tips, please. Salamat po.
I think now with the rise of Gen AI like ChatGPT, it's very easy also for the marginal groups to make use of it. It's not only reserved for people who are highly educated in AI, for example, right? So it's really for everyone to be used. If we can put the right communication in place, what's the right way to use it? What are the guardrails? What should you not use it for? I think a lot of people can be supported. Also the minorities because they can get answers that can influence their business decisions. Like if they have SMEs, we have so many SMEs in this country, right? I think they make up 70% of our GDP. So it's a huge amount. We really want to support them. Now, if they will make better business decisions because of the right use of such AI technology, I think that would be great. But they need some guidance. And we should make sure that when we communicate out, that we include those marginal groups, right? That they will be included as well. depending on the type of group and the issue that they face, the obstacle, what makes it harder for them, maybe, I don't know, quality of life, whatever it may be, I'm not sure. Then this could even be a separate AI use case to be addressed for, full inclusivity of the society. But that depends on the use case and the problem, first of all, the problem that we want to solve. Does it answer the question? If it does not, then just ask follow-up questions. Yeah, whoever is the person who asks the question, please speak up.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Adrian. Just related question. For small businesses with limited resources, how can we start incorporating AI and responsibly maximizing its capabilities in our operations?
Okay, for small businesses with limited resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what we saw with Gen AI is that it can produce near human level creativity, right? Like if you see the pictures generated, or you can create those music fragments, or yeah, you can even create videos. So it can be very creative. There's even a website called thispersondoesnotexist.com. And then you get like, every time you open it, you get a new person. Looks completely real. Like real, but it doesn't exist. It's AI created person. So you can then, instead of hiring a model, for example, for your marketing activities, you can get this picture. And then you can like Gen AI your ad, right? You can use it for that purpose. So you can get near human level quality output. And the price that you pay is a fraction. They analyzed that in another study where they saw that by factor 1,000, I think, in terms of price, if I am not wrong, the impact is there. So especially for the smaller companies, this is very valuable because they can get almost equal quality output, but they don't have to pay so much anymore. Like also for the legal advisor, for example, you saw before in the ChatGPT results, it was performing really well in the bar exam, right, for law. So you can use that as a good starting point, and you can cut down the legal costs by a lot. Then you just do the last check, for example, with your legal advisor, like that. So I think there are a lot of opportunities. You just need to get your hands on the right technology or the solution provider that will fit well with your company.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eden. That's very helpful. Your suggestions are very helpful. So another question. How can AI help the SME? Sorry, that's not the one. How do you think AI affect the proliferation of online scams in the country?
Yeah, I think it's not so much AI, it's digital. I think the introduction of digital platforms made it easier for scammers to operate there because we are quite a young nation regarding the digital platforms. So this means that we also need to get used to what are the risks, right? First, we see the benefits, but then not all risks are equally clear to everyone using those digital platforms. So it was easy for the scammers to perform social engineering, so to write messages such that you will believe what is being sent to you. You click on those links, or they call you and they give you a story about credit card. It was blocked, but they can unblock it for you just to give them all your details, like that, right? So they got around it. And now I think slowly the awareness is increasing that it's not that easy anymore. But it does show we need to actually have much more communication and awareness creation so that people will not fall prey. So this is for digital mainly. Now that Gen AI came about, and that I said earlier, you can even have Gen AI create malicious content. Like it can create messages that are convincing so that you will actually really fall prey to them, right? And that's then another level of awareness that you need to we need to create in this country, and where again critical thinking is very important, that we all always apply it. We don't just believe what is being sent to us. That's very, very important.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eden. That's a good reminder. We have to be critical thinkers.
Oh yeah, and one other thing I would like to mention is, although AI can be misused for this purpose, we can also use AI, and that's also what we're doing in the bank, to detect when those things happen, right? To detect like phishing transactions, for example. So you can use it also for detecting those malicious attacks.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Adrian. For our next question, what are the technical and organizational challenges of integrating AI?
There are many. There are many. There are many, but you have to take it step by step. So you have to break down this big cloud of challenges into smaller, like value packages, let's say, or challenge packages. You put them on the roadmap so that you will get finally to the result that will, or a milestone, let's say, that you want to reach for your company. So important organizationally, I think, is the buy-in, the appreciation, awareness creation, the education, the communication. Like this is like part of the change management. It's super important, because what will you do if you have the best technology and no one is using it because they don't trust it, right? So that's really super important, that element. And then you have the technological part that was also part of your question, those challenges. So this you really have to put like step by step, and what is a milestone that you want to reach within your company so that it can already get some value. Like, for example, with us for Gen AI, we're giving those training sessions, and we will include everyone in the bank, because we want that everyone can harness already the very basic advantages. Then there are some other units where we can create larger impact if we customize Gen AI solution for them, right? And where we can deal with the risks that they have, like confidential information, security, like that. So there we again have a separate project with separate challenges and separate opportunities as well. And I think you really need to drive it in parallel. You have something, an activity or multiple incentives that touch everyone, and then you have few that will have high impact, and that's the important part. You select the high impact ones for the company, that you work with a select set of people in multifunctional teams to create them. Yeah. Does it answer the question? If not, please let me know, because there's so many challenges, and I can dig into the one that interests you most.
Okay, all right, Dr. Adrian, we just want to have a brief overview of the
Okay.
technical challenges. Thank you. So, time check, it's already 11:35 a.m. and sorry. We are encouraging everyone to ask questions and click the raise hand button to directly address the speaker, or you may send in your questions in the chat box. This is our last call for our participants who wish to ask their questions. Otherwise, we will already close the session. I think we have not received any further questions. That concludes our question and answer for. Sorry, there's a next question. What agency is in charge? I didn't get that one.
Oh yeah, I also see it now in the chat. What agency is in charge, implementer, coordinator, monitoring, etc. of AI use in the Philippines?
That will be the DICT. The DICT. So hopefully next time in our succeeding webinars, we can invite the DICT to provide us with a background on the on AI here, AI adoption here in the country. So that concludes na po our question and answer portion. Thank you to our participants, and thank you, Dr. Heinrich, for answering all the questions and for the very comprehensive explanation of the generative AI in banking. We hope that our participants learned a lot. Before we close this session, we would like to request Dr. Adrian Heinrich to give a short message to our participants and share with them Union Bank's contact details for further inquiries and additional information. You may take the floor now, Dr. Adrian.
Uh, you mean my contact details? That I should share my contact details now?
Yes, you may.
Okay. Okay, so you can email me. It's A, because my first name is Adrian, right? A, and then the last name, Heinrich, at unionbankph.com. These are my contact details. I hope the sharing today was useful for you because you were a diverse group, right? In the start, we saw 50% already were using technology, 50% not. I hope for each of you, there was something there that you could learn from or that inspired you or in the discussion that was helpful for you. I can also share my contact details in the chat. I saw the message, yeah. So I hope we can continue this discussion. And if we want this country to succeed, it's important that we all work together, right? And that we use this technology more and more so that we also are aware of more of the risks, what not to do, how to set the guardrails in the right way, and how to bring forward our country as a country that is innovative in this technology and has high impact use cases that will change the quality of life for the people here and in the rest of the world.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adrian Heinrich, and thank you again to Union Bank of the Philippines. Before we close this session, we would like to invite everyone to tune in to Consumer at Iba Pa every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. at Super Radio DZBB, TV at GTV, and Consumer at Iba Pa Facebook live stream. This is to formally close our webinar for today. Again, thank you to our very capable speaker, Dr. Adrian Heinrich from the Union Bank of the Philippines. Maraming salamat po. And from the Consumer Protection Group, thank you very much to our participants who joined us this morning. Don't forget to join us again in our next webinars. Our announcements will be posted in our social media accounts. For more updates, please like, follow, and subscribe to our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube accounts, DTI Consumer Care, DTI 1384, and DTI Philippines. Also, kindly accomplish and submit the survey forms. You can also get a link and download the presentation used for today's webinar. Thank you so much, everyone, and stay safe. Salamat po!
Thank you.
Para sa ating mamamayang Pilipino, para iwas daya dapat wais at alisto. Mainam maging mapagmatsyag at mapanuri tayo, palakasin ang boses ng ating mga consumer. Dapat tama bawat presyo at serbisyo, produktong pasado lalo ang mga pangunahing bilihin. Ang kalidad ng mga produkto at serbisyo ay pangalagaan ng lahat, tayo ay panalo. Layunin ng DTI ito.
Ipatupad price at 7581, Consumer Act 7394, Product Standards 4109, for Consumer Care at iba pa, tayang 1384.
Ipalaganap karapatan at tungkulin, kaalamang tama sa consumer ibahagi. Tulay sa kaunlaran, kalakalan ay palakasin. Ito ang pagbabago para sa ikabubuti natin. Dapat tapat bawat presyo at serbisyo, produktong pasado lalo ang mga pangunahing bilihin. Ang kalidad ng mga produkto at serbisyo ay pangalagaan ng lahat, tayo tayo ay panalo. Layunin ng DTI ito.
Ipatupad Price Act 7581, Consumer Act 7394, Product Standards 4109, for consumer care at iba pa, tayang 1384.
Dapat tama, dapat tapat, mula sa DTI ito.